Welcome to Talkin Vols, episode number 32. My name is Boogie Bentley.
I'm Vols JP.
And I am Mane.
We're at Talkin Vols _pod, VAWLS, on Facebook and Twitter. Also, if you're listening to this on YouTube, do us a favor, drop down, hit that like button, leave us a comment, and subscribe. I know that is annoying, but it does help with the analytics of YouTube, helps to grow this podcast. And we're getting close to 1,000 subscribers. That'll help us monetize and also continue to grow the podcast. When we get there, we're going to be giving away a $50 Amazon gift card. Check out the S&B Network on Twitter at Snake and Boogie. The pinned tweet is at the top. You can figure out how you can enter to win that $50 Amazon gift card. Again, this podcast is brought to you by the S&B Network on Twitter, but also Outright Geekery Podcast Network. Check it out, outrightgeekery.com. Man, the Vols this week got off to a slow start. It was looking rough early. I mean, the text messages that were going back and forth early in this game were not very positive. But after the weather delay, they came back out, scored 21 points in less than 2 minutes. I think it was 28 points in 6 minutes.
I think
and
so.
They never looked back from there. But, this team still has some major concerns moving forward, especially when we get into SEC play. But it was nice to play a cupcake and just beat them down, take care of business, do what you're supposed to do, and win 59-3.
Yeah, it was definitely a slow start. I bet that team got chewed out during that weather delay. I could only imagine what that locker room was like, probably.
Oh, I'm sure. There were some butt chewings going on the sideline all day long.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you win 59-3, and you think everything is hunky dory, but a lot to work on with that football team. Most notably in that game, in my opinion, was the offensive line and the continued plays that the defense is able to make in the backfield and stop our running backs right at the line of scrimmage. I went back and watched some of the replay, and it's all of them. I mean, it's not just one offensive lineman, and it's not just the lineman either. A lot of it is the tight ends. They're not blocking either. But I don't know. They better shore it up quickly, because it's not going to get any better come September 22nd.
It was a slow start for the line. After the weather delay, I thought they got better. And I really liked what I saw from the right side. It seemed like they were running pretty well off of the right side. Loved what I saw from Jeremy Banks. I know we're not talking about running backs much yet, but loved what I saw from him. He come in after the weather delay. It seemed to really get them going there. I liked what I saw. I'm guessing, was it Hall and Richmond was in maybe when they got going? Could be wrong, because I know they were rotating some.
Yeah, they played, I think, 10 offensive linemen? They rotated.
They played a lot. They did. They played a lot of guys. And I saw there's a lot to work on, but I also saw some stuff I liked really well. I liked what Banks did. Garantano did okay. I didn't think he was anything spectacular. I really liked what I saw from Chris, though. I thought the offense seemed more crisp when he came in. Maybe it's just because it was later in the game. Not sure. Liked what I saw from Bryce Thompson. He looks like a real player. Palmer made some plays. Jordan Murphy made some plays. So there were definitely some positives. I saw some progression. I know it's ETSU, but still you can see signs of progression, and I like some of what I saw there. And now it's just time to build off that next week when they play UTEP.
Yeah, I like the UTEP game. Florida's the test. Everybody knows that, but it's going to be good to have another game like this that you're going to go in. UTEP's lost 14 games in a row. You're going to go take care of business, but yeah, I see progression and continue to see that. And see what they do against Florida. I don't know what Christ, I don't know that I agree. I guess to me, it's not that I agree or disagree. I just think that I think you could play either one almost at this point, and it seems like you're going to get the same result. And I know that's a bold statement for as little as we've seen Chris, but I mean he played well, he did fine. But I think Garantano played well and did fine. The real big thing for me is 2 games in and no turnovers. That's a big deal. Yeah, talking about quarterback play especially.
It is. It is a big deal because you've played a Big 12 team, and now you've played FCS. I was gonna say Division Two. I'm still used to that. I like what I've seen. I guess what I liked about Chris is it seems like he's ready to get rid of the ball. He's not back there. There's times I think Garantano still maybe a little questionably holding on to it. I'm not cracking on the guy or nothing like that. He's played fine the first 2 games, but I thought Chris come in and really I just like what I saw. He looked real fluid to me, and he's a big guy. I know they said 6'5", about 240. I didn't realize how big he was coming in. He looked like a big dude back there as well.
He looks like an NFL quarterback. He really does. I know I was joking about it during the game that he looked like a 15-year NFL vet. He looks old, man, but he's big, he's physical, strong. I'm not mad at the guy. I just I don't like having 2 guys. I want there to be a guy, the guy.
Well, I think Garantano's the guy right now. I don't think there's much doubt about it. But I'll be interested to see. They should take care of business next week. Like you said, Florida's the test. And this will be probably the best defense they've faced. But Florida's got some questions too. I mean, you seen that last night. They're learning a new defense. Kentucky ran all over them last night. Well, we'll see. We've got a week before we think about that one, but that's what you've got to be working toward if you're Tennessee right now.
Did you think it was weird the way that they put Chris in? Like when he came in, I was like, okay, Garantano's done. Chris is going to play the rest of the day, and then Garantano comes back. I just thought it was awkward. The way they substituted him in was almost like Garantano wasn't the guy. But I think you're right. He is. You know, he played the whole West Virginia game. I just thought it was weird the way they did that. It's just me.
I thought it's kind of odd, but it seemed like, according to Pruitt's comments, it was already scripted like that. I'm not sure of the reason. I don't know if he even gave a reason on it, but it seems like it was scripted that way. But I did too. I thought it was kind of odd. I figured maybe Garantano was done for the day. Like I said, he was right back in there. So maybe they just wanted to get him a look while it was. I mean, the game was pretty much out of reach, but it wasn't just, what was it, 28-3 at that point, or 28-0. I mean, so
31-0, I think.
It was 31. That's right. They got the field goal on the first possession. So it was odd, but I think, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that again this week too.
Well, let's. I guess we can talk about the running backs. Jeremy Banks, man, what a bright spot. He runs hard. He hits the hole. He's explosive. But just in general, man, and I think they said that Chandler could have gone if need be, but they were just being precautionary because of the concussion stuff. But, man, this team has some good running backs, really good running backs, 4 of them that – and, I mean, that's the way it is now. You know, times have changed. A rotating stable is so important. And a lot of times it seems like Tennessee has always had a good running back, and then the drop-off from 1 to 2, and especially 1 to 3. But now you're talking about 4 guys that can get in there and run the ball and have some success if this offensive line can get straightened out.
Yeah, I
JP,
think that we
still
got
with
a
us?
good.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering if he's going to chime in today or not.
I think he's watching the Redskins play.
I'm just letting you all just have this one. Yeah, I mean, I think Banks is certainly, of course, you know, I had him as my offensive player to click last week, if you guys remember, and I think he had, 2 touchdowns yesterday, about 60 some yards. but definitely a physical runner. Somebody, really somebody that we hadn't had like that in a while too. But yeah, I would imagine that they'll try to get Chandler in there next week to get him some more touches because I do think that Chandler is our most explosive back. I think Jordan needs to learn how to run behind his blockers. It's like that he wants to cut outside. There was a couple of times there yesterday that he kept going outside and he would run right into the defensive lineman or the linebacker, and if he would have stayed closer towards his lineman, I think that he would have picked up some more yards. But yeah, I mean, I think with the first two games, I think you can certainly be pleased with the running back core, especially with the struggles that the offensive line's shown.
If they could get Jordan to hit the hole like Banks does, he would be so much better. He's a good physical runner. I mean, he is.
He just likes to bounce it out.
He dances around too long, and you can't do that, especially on the goal line. There was one exactly what you're talking about. I mean, I think they were on maybe the 2-3 yard line, and if he just busted up inside, he's going to score. But he danced and goes out, and there's three bucks standing there just waiting on him. It's like, man, just hit the hole.
Yeah.
I think you made an interesting comment about we haven't had a guy like Banks that runs like that in a while. I can't remember the last guy that they've had that runs like that because he just puts his head down and goes, and I love it. That's what I like to see out of a running back. I don't like to see the dancing and stuff. And like you said, I think Jordan could have gotten a touchdown that first possession had he not went out, and he lost a lot of yardage on that. But Jordan was at 65, I think. Banks was close to that. And I thought London looked pretty good as well. I think he had the best yards per carry average of the three. And he's another guy that seems to put his head down and go. I think it was mentioned last week. Somebody said they weren't that impressed with him, which he didn't do a whole lot last week, but I thought he looked pretty good too. And that's a good sign because, like you said, I really think Chandler is the most explosive. He's definitely the most proven of the three so far because he had some good games last year when he filled in. It'll be really interesting to see what happens when he comes back, and I expect him to play some this week just to kind of keep him game ready.
Yeah.
But I would think come Florida, if he's healthy, that'll be your starting running back, will be Chandler.
Yeah. Jordan averaged this week 4.3 per carry, Banks 4.8, and London 5.9. Of course, London had a pretty long run late in the second quarter, I think it was. So that kind of pads his stats too. And of course, your boy Palmer averaged 20 yards carry. I like that play call, man. I like that play call. He looked good. He looked good with the ball in space. Dude, he looked good. I like that they threw the ball down the field and had some success with it. Man, Callaway looked so huge next to those ETSU corners. And I like that they just threw it up and let him go make some plays, man. I like seeing that. And, again, yeah, it's ETSU. I get that. But, God, how many times have we seen it where there are not these big explosive plays against these cupcake teams? And it's refreshing to see it. You know, that was our big concern last week on the podcast. Let's just go take care of business. And, yeah, it didn't look good early, but the bottom line is they did take care of business, especially the defense, man. I was proud of that defense. That they have some stuff to work on too, for sure. But only giving up 3 points, that's a good day. You can't complain with that.
It is a good day, and we said last week, I think we said at the end that we thought a successful day would be no more than 200 yards, and they gave up, 195?
Yeah, I think it was 195, I think is what they said.
Yeah, I mean, Kirkland had the touchdown. Bryce Thompson almost had a touchdown. I was happy with them. They seemed to tackle well. They didn't give up too many big plays. No, I mean, they've got a lot to work on, but there were some positives on it. I thought it was a good week of progression. And like I said earlier, I really like what I see out of Thompson. He looks like he's got the potential to be a really good player down there. Now, is he going to have some growing pains along the way? Absolutely, I expect it since he's a freshman. But he really rebounded well this week from last week.
What was interesting was Alontae Taylor got that start last week, and I mean, from all indications, he done fairly good for a true freshman his first game. But they said he didn't practice as well as Thompson did, so they let Thompson start over him. I mean, that's one thing. If you pay any attention to Pruitt, I don't think that or at least I've never noticed a head coach at Tennessee that does so much coaching, individual coaching with a player on the sidelines. I mean, it seems to be a constant thing with him through these first two games.
Yeah, I love that. How many times have we heard or read on VolQuest such and such had a great week of practice or they had a great camp, and then comes game day and they're sitting on the bench, and then you hear this, that Bryce had a good week of practice, and then he's freaking starting, man. That's the way it should be. Best player plays, period. All we want to do is win games. Forget everything else, man. You go back to the way Butch handled the Jalen Hurd situation. I like it. I'm with you. I thought, JP, I think you were the one talking about Alexis Johnson. I thought he had a good day. Not a great, not like some big standout performance, but I think he had a good day. But Emmett Gooden, man, he had a great day. Where did that come from?
Yeah, I think he's getting better and better, and we need him to get better for sure because obviously it's going to be a tough road here starting in a couple of weeks with that gauntlet of conference games. So, but yeah, I think that they credited him with eight tackles, and I think three tackles for loss and a sack. So, yeah, he was by far the most disruptive lineman that we had yesterday. But we still don't seem to have any type of pass rush. I know that we got our hands up and tipped several balls there and stuff like that, but I don't. Were we recorded other than Gooden's sack? I don't know if there was another sack, and
No, I think he had the only sack of the day.
Yeah, I mean, this is 2 straight weeks that Darrell Taylor and King Kongbo have been non-existent. So,
I don't think Kongbo even had a tackle. I don't think he had a tackle.
They didn't credit him for any. Yeah.
So he has one tackle through 2 games. That's a half a tackle per game. That's stellar numbers.
Right there. I mean, I just think at some point in time, I think that you're going to have to put somebody in there that freshman, sophomore, junior, or something like that 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 you're going to be able to get that's going to play next year and get them some game time because I mean he's just not doing it and we kept hearing all these reports about how good he looked and everything, but I said I'd have to see it to believe it, and so far it's not happened. And if he can't pressure the quarterback against ETSU, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in him pressuring the quarterback against SEC opponents.
But it ain't. I mean, it's not just him. And I know we're talking about him and ripping on him. I mean, some podcasts people went out on a limb thinking he's going to make a great move to linebacker, but it's everybody, man. There's no push. And if you can't get pressure on the quarterback against ETSU, you're gonna have a long, tough season, man. I rewatched the first half today. I didn't get to watch the second half. I wanted to watch it all, and I was just trying to watch the offensive and defensive lines, and just focus on that. And man, even when they brought pressure, ETSU seemed to pick it up, and just. Not a lot there, which concerns me. And that's, listen, the comments in YouTube are, we love you guys. I appreciate you leaving comments. But come on. Some of them are pretty ridiculous. We're not being negative. We're just telling you what we see. We're not experts. We're telling you our opinions. So if you disagree, just leave me a comment.
I just wonder how much of it is still they're transitioning to this new defense. Of course, they're playing a lot of nickel in there, but I liked what I saw from Gooden. I thought Tuttle played pretty well. I thought Kyle Phillips played pretty well. Not really, like I said, we're not seeing anything from the outside backers. I just wonder if it's still an adjustment for them or what, but that is very concerning that your main two guys, you've basically not heard of them in 2 weeks, and especially yesterday. I can understand a little more West Virginia, but I expected a little more out of them yesterday. Maybe we'll see more of them this week, but I just wonder, you know it's going to be a transition period going to a new defense, and I just wonder how much that's having to do with it. And it may not have anything, I don't know, but I just wonder if that may have something to do with it still right now.
Yeah, and I wonder about that about the offensive line too. They did a lot of zone blocking in Butch's offense, and now you're changing that, and it's different, man. It's different. There's going to be an adjustment period, and especially when you're talking about the offensive line. You know, we mentioned it before. They didn't get a whole lot of practice time together.
Yeah.
They didn't. They just didn't.
I think that's probably one of the biggest thing with offensive line is that they just didn't get a whole lot of practice time together, and hopefully that will improve. But still, I'm sorry. There's a couple of them, and we can name them on here or not, but there's a redshirt junior that plays right tackle, and
but you're not going to call him out or anything.
That guy just patty cakes, man. I mean, he doesn't drive his feet. He doesn't do anything. I don't know.
He was in. I mean, when they were running to the right side, was he not at tackle?
I thought that was Tatum.
Maybe it
now,
was.
I may be completely
Maybe it
wrong.
was. I haven't rewatched it or anything, but I know for a while they were running well to that right side.
Was it the first half or second half?
Well, it was both because it was after the weather delay.
Yeah.
It was definitely the first half. That's where they started getting some yardage at. They started getting it kind of off tackle, and they started running them pitches and getting some yardage too.
I thought Tatum was in quite a bit yesterday, but now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm picking on the redshirt 5-star junior offensive lineman.
Well, it's fair to pick on him, and again, it's freaking ETSU, okay? So injuries, lack of practice time, whatever, change the system. At the end of the day, it's ETSU. It shouldn't matter. Shouldn't matter. You should be able to physically manhandle ETSU on the offensive and defensive line. Period. No, there's no questions asked. It's just the way it is. Tennessee has better athletes. They should be bigger, faster, and stronger. But how many plays did Tennessee's offense have that went for negative yardage?
Or
a lot.
Well, I mean, the first quarter they had negative one yards rushing.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's when we were so pissed off in our text messages. There is no excuse for that. And again, they took care of business. They did what they were supposed to do. But how much of that was the defense?
Well, yeah.
Again, you had the pick six. You had basically 2 pick sixes. I mean, in all reality.
You had to block punt for a touchdown.
Yeah, there you go. There's 21 points right there from defense and special teams.
What?
That makes a big difference when you're just looking at the overall picture, when you look at the scoreboard.
Yeah. Well, and another thing that I've noticed with the offensive line is they don't keep their blocks. Even if they get their hand on somebody, they don't continue blocking them. It's like honestly, it's like when they come in contact with a defensive player, it's like that they just stop moving their feet, and the defensive player just has to move one way or the other, and the offensive lineman just pretty much just stands there. I mean, and that's definitely why that they're playing that Jameer Johnson. I mean, even though that he was whiffing some as well, at least I watched him. It kind of looked like one of those plays off the blind side. He had one of them poor ETSU players plumb over on the sideline down there in the first quarter. I mean, just mauling him, and stuff. But but that's the thing. I mean, it seems like 50% of the time or more that doesn't happen. It just seems like that we just get in there and we just thud with somebody, and then they quit moving their feet. They don't finish their blocks, and I bet you. I mean, I'd imagine Friend and Pruitt and them are just, I bet it's maddening to them over that.
Well, you could see Friend was pretty hot yesterday a couple times. I know
Well,
they come off and
I
he
think
was
Friend
ticked.
he got his ass jumped too
Who, Friend?
before that. Yeah,
Oh, Pruitt jumped it.
yeah.
I missed that.
I don't
I
know.
seen Friend jumping. I seen
Ryan
both of them
Johnson.
get Ryan Johnson that one time.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, it was hilarious when old Banks, and I know it was stupid to fire up the crowd, but at the same time it's kind of like when Hurd looked over, what was it, the Texas A&M game, said bring it. I liked it, and I know it's dumb, and even Garantano can't see it, and he's up there like, why is everybody screaming shut up? But dude, he got his butt jumped over that one.
Hmm.
Pretty funny.
There was a few of 'em. I think Callaway got it once. I seen Allen get it at the end of the game. I mean, it's 59-3, and they're still getting on guys. I like that aspect of it. It basically showed that no matter the score, every play matters. And Pruitt made the comment about you've got to learn how to play up 48 just like you do any other time. I don't think there's going to be too many times Tennessee's up by 48, but hey, it'd be nice. But you've still got to learn. I agree what he said on it. You know, every play matters, and he's still coaching them till the end of the game. He's not just packed it in at that point. I really like that from him.
Yeah, I think Callaway, I think it was on that a punt.
Yeah.
He didn't run up and field it. He let it bounce, and it rolled like 20 yards.
Yeah, he mentioned that on his coach's show.
I couldn't find the coach's show.
Well, it wasn't on the TV
WJHL.
guide, but it was on this morning. I think CBS or something. It was on. Yeah, it wasn't on the TV guide.
Yeah, I couldn't find it.
So, but it was a pretty good show actually. I mean, it was pretty good. Um, I like how he actually breaks down plays. I like how he actually talks about plays and stuff. That was one thing. I quit watching it there the last three years that Butch was the head coach because it was just horrible. I mean, it's just horrible.
Is Ainge still on there? I like them having Ainge on there breaking down plays too.
I didn't see it. I didn't see him on there today, and that's why that Butch had Ainge on there because Butch didn't know anything about
couldn't
actual
break.
football. He was just too busy about building walls with bricks.
Oh
So
gosh.
but yeah, I actually like it, and it's actually kind of funny because old Bob Kessling, he'll get on there and he tries to be like all rah rah and everything, and Pruitt just looks at him like he's an idiot half the time. They
That's
started
awesome.
and I know we're getting way off the topic, but they started the show, and of course they were showing video of them running through the tee, and old Bob was like, uh, "Here's the Vols running through the tee," and he said something about that's such a magical moment, isn't it? Isn't it, Coach Pruitt or something? And I swear Pruitt sat there for a second. He went, "Yeah, it was
I could
different."
totally see Kessling running through the tee. Such a powerful moment, isn't it, Coach? Yeah, sure.
That's what he said. That's what he said. So
Oh
yeah,
man,
but
it's refreshing. It's refreshing. I think there's no doubt about it. We got a ball coach, man. Got a lot of coaches. Got a lot of coaches.
we just need some
But
Joes and some Jimmies. We
yeah,
need some
yeah,
Jimmies and Joes.
for sure. But yeah, we can still learn a lot from this season and see how they progress and
Oh yeah, yeah.
what
I
happens.
think so too. And I mean, I think that these players are going to find out that these guys are there to win football games, and if you're not on board, you probably need to be finding another place to play, and I won't be shocked at all if there's about eight or 10 guys leave after a season. You know.
Well, well, they've already lost one. Who quit after West Virginia?
Trey Coleman.
Yeah, running back. Yeah.
Well, I'd quit too if I was behind the four horsemen there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
go
don't
see the
think there
field
was any
anyway.
clear time. I mean, at least he waited till Monday and didn't do like the Florida guy last night. As soon as the game's over, he posted he was transferring.
That was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, and
I
I
didn't
think
see
that guy
that.
was returning kicks, was he, or punts or something?
He must have had his cell phone in his
It must, as soon as it hit zero, he must have had that topped up and went over and hit post because it was within minutes. It seemed like it. Because my app was being stupid and I couldn't watch the Florida Kentucky
Well, let's
game.
not get me started on that.
Yeah,
Listen, man, it's the freaking truth, though. And I get what you said last night we were talking about when the SEC network cut away. I get it. They should have cut away. It's a blowout, whatever. But how many times have we sat down to watch a Tennessee game on the SEC network and they're like, oh, if you want to find this game, you got to download 48 apps. It's going to be on the SEC alternate 2.8 version, only available in Western Kentucky. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's happened time and time again with blowouts, and they won't cut away.
Oh, I
But then
can remember.
It's freaking Tennessee, and by gosh, we're going to cut away.
I understood it just
remember-
due to the weather delay. Otherwise, and it was a blowout, and it's two SEC teams opposed to Tennessee. You know, if Tennessee had been playing an SEC team, it may have been different, but I understood.
Makes all logical sense if they hadn't done the opposite every time before this.
Oh yeah, they do that a lot. Direct TV got a phone call from me. I remember Dooley's last year.
So funny.
We hadn't even we were playing Vandy that night, and I don't even think we had a shot at a bowl game. I'm pretty sure we didn't. And they had like
Oh,
the same game was on like local ABC as it was on ESPN2. The exact same game. And it was one of those ACC games where there wasn't playing any defense, and each team had scored like 60 points, and it was like a 5-hour marathon, and they kept both games on, or the same game on the same channel, and we missed like the whole first quarter of the Tennessee game. That poor girl at DirecTV, I bet she was like, this guy is like,
it's a lunatic.
he's a lunatic, yes.
Wasn't it? What they were awful. They were awful that year.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because you were on the phone with DirecTV, we're texting, we're so pissed, and it's like this game means absolutely nothing. Imagine if they were actually good.
Oh, Lord.
Undefeated in a big game. Good Lord, you'd burn DirecTV to the ground.
I'd probably be
Burn
in
it
jail.
down.
I'd probably be in jail for threatening somebody.
This is what we talk about when the Vols play ETSU. And UTEP in back-to-back weeks, man. Oh, what a podcast. What a podcast. This is when y'all get quiet and I'm supposed to change the direction of the show, but I don't really know what else to talk about.
That's the night.
I guess
I
what?
was going to say, that's the night that I told the DirecTV lady, I said, this is a crying shame. And I had three or four people here at the house, and they were like rolling in the floor.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, let's get back to ETSU.
I guess we could talk about another thing for me, the lack of use of Wood Anderson. What'd they target him? Maybe twice? I know he had at least one catch, but I don't know why they don't utilize the tight end position.
We're saving him
And
for
I know
Florida.
it's only 2 games in. Oh, is that what it is?
Well, I think Chris targeted him when he came in. Garantano threw at him a couple times, I think, but that was really about it.
Let me look. I've got it here.
What's the deal with Juwan Jennings?
Dude, was he even in the game?
Yeah, he caught,
He caught a pass.
2 more passes
Did he catch
yesterday.
2? I know he caught one late.
No, he caught
Or maybe
he
it's
caught
just
one pass.
Maybe.
And Wood Anderson caught one pass.
Yeah.
Wood Anderson was targeted more than Jennings, as far as I know. It seemed like they were targeting Callaway. Murphy got quite a few, and then Palmer had a couple catches, but Palmer may just had one catch, actually. I know he.
Yeah, he had the one for 51 yards. Callaway had 5 catches for 78 yards. Murphy 3 for 75 and a touchdown. Palmer 1 for 51. Wood Anderson 1 for 12, and Jennings had 1 for 8.
Yeah, and I don't even think Jennings even played in offense in the first half.
Did I see? I think somebody on VolQuest, and who knows? Good Lord, when you're on that board, who knows? Somebody said he was in the doghouse.
I don't think so. I just think they're targeting
I
Callaway.
had not seen that.
And you know,
at
it
all.
may be more where Garantano played last year. He's more familiar with Callaway. That seems to be his go-to guy. Jennings played part of the first game last year, and that's it. So it may be at more familiarity right there, possibly. It's just a thought. I don't know that, obviously, but it is just a thought.
I don't know.
I think Callaway should be targeted more. I think Callaway's a better receiver than Jennings. I love Jennings, man. He's a dog. He fights, but I think Callaway's a better receiver.
I don't know if he is or not.
That's my opinion.
But I think for his football team to have any kind of success on offense, we need Jennings. I mean Jennings needs to become a threat again. I mean, we seen what he done against Florida that year, and really that whole year 2016. So I think that we need Jennings. I don't know what's going on, but he needs to become more part of the offense.
I think he will as it goes forward. Right now, I really think they're establishing a good receiving core. And, you know, we hadn't even heard Brandon Johnson. He had quite a few catches last year, and he didn't. I don't even remember hardly seeing him out there yesterday. And then last week he may have had a catch possibly, but that's kind of surprising to me because I expected him to be maybe the third option right there. But Palmer seems to be getting more and Murphy yesterday. I thought Murphy looked good in there. I actually threw across the middle to him once. That shocked me that a pass went across the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think they've got some weapons on offense. I think they should throw the ball more. As much as I love a physical run game, I think they've got the weapons. And I don't know why they, of course, I said this during the game, and then I think somebody got sacked immediately after. But I think they pass protect better than they run block. But that was funny when I said that, and down goes Garantano the very
Well, it's
next
been
play.
2 weeks in a row. Last week, JP's like, time to get Chance Hall in. First play comes in, he gives up a sack. And you had that yesterday as well. But I agree, the offensive line, they do pass block better, it seems like. I don't know what the deal is with that. But, I mean, they've given how many sacks they give up against West Virginia? Maybe 1 or 2? Or did they give up any?
2, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't remember.
But
yeah, they gave up 1, I think, yesterday. At least I know.
I figured
I know
out
they
with
gave up 1.
Garantano is he's not very mobile, and I know he was listed as a dual threat coming out, and some of them said, well, he's more of a pocket passer, but he's really not that very mobile. I don't think. Just watching him scramble around, he didn't. He doesn't look like he's very fast or anything, and he's definitely no Dobbs. And I think comparisons was made at one point, and that's laughable. There's no comparison between their running abilities.
Oh no,
there's no comparison in their passing abilities either. I think he's a way better passer than Dobbs was. But Dobbs, man, he saved so many sacks with his feet. Such a player, just a winner. I love Dobbs. I defended that guy against JP for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, there were some moments he had some games down at Dobbs where you scratched your head, but overall he won him a lot of games down there.
He saved Butch's job for a long time.
There's no doubt about it.
There's no doubt.
I mean, the second year Butch was there, if Worley hadn't got hurt, they wouldn't have made a bowl game that year because that enabled Dobbs to take over, and I have no doubt they would not have made a bowl game if it hadn't been for Dobbs that year.
Let's talk about
you're waiting on me again. Thank you.
Special teams. I mean, I have been surprised at Joe Doyle and that punting. I mean he's averaging what I think 43 yards a punt net or something like that.
Yeah, I don't even think we talked about him after the West Virginia game. He did and that was an unknown.
Yeah,
That was an unknown. And he's done a great job
yeah,
punting.
and
And
the kickoffs have been fairly decent too.
Yeah, we had the
Uh,
one yesterday where got distracted. Braves just hit a 3-run bomb to take the lead, but we just sorry,
welcome to the
talking
chop talk.
But
Talking
the
chop, that
kickoff's
was
been
it.
good. Of course, we had to mix in our patented kick out of bounds yesterday. I hadn't seen one of those in a bit, so glad to know we still got that in the playbook to kick one out of bounds once a game.
we did that yesterday. I must have missed
Yeah, he
that.
sure
Yeah,
did.
it was pretty late in the game, wasn't it? I think it
I
was
was
pretty
thinking
late.
it was in the second quarter. It could have been the third quarter, but
Oh, was it? Was
Huh.
it?
yeah, because I think that was when they got on their scoring of maybe all their unanswered points right there, and then he kicked one out of bounds. But it didn't kill him yesterday. Hopefully that doesn't happen in a tight game or anything. I would imagine, and I didn't see him shine the cameras to it, but I would almost imagine that there was a butt chewing happened on that one as well, if I had to guess.
I'm sure.
But I
Obviously,
liked what Yo Osborne. We talked about him a little bit last week. He had a really rough time last week, and I liked seeing him rebound, block that punt, and took it in. I thought that was big for him that he bounced back after some of the plays or lack thereof he had last week. Maybe
who blocked the punt against West Virginia?
Taylor.
Okay. Of course, only Tennessee can block a punt that goes 40-some yards, but still, they got that pressure, and then blocking that one, this week.
Yeah,
That's just something we're not used to seeing at Tennessee.
no. As far as special teams, I've been pleased with that. I think the punt returns so far have been kind of shady, with not running up there and catching those and calling fair catch and letting them roll, and then our kickoff returns haven't been anything special yet either. But I'll take that punting that Joe Dole's doing, and the kickoffs and the punt blocks for sure.
Wasn't there was it one of the Billy Madison movies? It was Joe Doyle, or was it O'Doyle? Yeah,
O'Doyle.
O'Doyle. Well, I guess we can
O'Doyle.
say Joe Doyle rules.
O'Doyle.
I guess if he blasts one, Joe Doyle rules.
Joe Doyle rules.
I'm down. I'm down with that. Any changes? I know it's ETSU, but what do you guys think moving forward? We were pretty down after last week, with good reason, I think. But where are you guys at? You still floating 6-6, 7-5?
I'm 6-6. I'm
5-7.
6-6, and I've said it from the get go. Florida game will be a win, and I think you've got to win that game. You do not let Florida, especially after they lost last night. And I don't necessarily think Kentucky's that bad. I think Kentucky will be a tougher game than Florida, but just because Kentucky can run the ball. And we've seen it the last 2 years. They've run it well against Tennessee, and they run it well last night. Kentucky's more of a concern to me than Florida. And I'm not by any means saying it's a give me, but you've got to beat Florida in 2 weeks. I think it's must win.
What about you, JP? Same. I'm still the same. I'm with you. 6-6. I'm not sold on a Florida win. I think that's a toss-up game, but man, God,
I'm telling you,
huge win for Pruitt.
I am still majorly concerned with both the offense and the defensive lines. I'm telling you. I mean,
Oh, I am too. I am too.
I mean, knowing that ETSU was able to get in the backfield as much as they did yesterday and cause some disruptions. I mean, I can only imagine what these SEC defenses are going to do if we don't get something straightened out. I mean, we have got to get something straightened out, or it's going to be tough to beat anybody in the SEC. I mean, it is. Um, I mean, I just don't know. I mean, I'm still going to say that, uh, expectation and hope that we can pull out a 6-6. But if it doesn't get any better on the offensive line and the defensive line can't get any pressure on the quarterback, I'm telling you, ugh,
I think if
I
they
could see
don't
it
beat,
turning
I
ugly.
think if they don't beat Florida, 6-6 may be hard to reach. I don't know that they'll. I think Missouri, and I think that's an interesting game, Missouri, just because they can throw it so well, and that could cause a problem. But Kentucky's going to be tough, and Vanderbilt, I mean, they've beat Middle Tennessee, Nevada, but they've looked pretty good in beating those teams. Nevada normally has a pretty good team. I'm not sure about this year. And Middle Tennessee comes or goes sometime, but it'll be a test for them to get to 6-6. But I always expect them to beat Vanderbilt, and Kentucky's not. They can't let Kentucky come to Knoxville and beat them either.
I tell you, if that quarterback for Kentucky hangs on to the football and doesn't make stupid mistakes, they probably beat Florida by 14 plus points last night. You know,
Florida just
um,
doesn't. They're I don't know about how their line is, but Florida I don't think is too stout at running back. They're not at quarterback. They ought to have some players on defense, but where they're going through a new defense, they're going to have growing pains as well. I mean, they got shed last night, so
mhm.
I think that's a must win. I really do. That I think a lot of negativity will come from that if Tennessee loses to them because that's a very winnable game.
But that's the problem is it's winnable on paper. And I think you talked about it just last week. How many times has that game been
You're
winnable
right.
on paper? But somehow, some way, Tennessee finds a way to lose, and it doesn't matter who the coach is or who the players are. It just continues
Well,
to
that goes
happen.
back to
So,
he's trying to build a winning culture to help these guys win. You got to get over that Florida hump because Florida's not going to
yeah,
stay down
yeah.
forever. There's too much talent in that state. Mullen is normally a pretty good coach. He may still do a good job down there. It's just because he lost last night doesn't mean he's a bad coach or anything. There's going to be growing pains down there as well, but you've got to get them at some point because Florida, they're not going to stay down forever. And if you keep losing to them now, when are you going to get them?
Yep. And I'm ready for that game. I want to. That's a big measuring stick for where this program's at. That's the fourth game of the season, and I think we can see some development. I think West Virginia is a better football team than Florida is, but it'll be interesting to see
West
where this
Virginia is
team
a
is
lot
at.
better than Florida.
When Yeah,
Oh
but
yeah,
it'll be interesting. But coming off West Virginia and playing ETSU and UTEP, yeah, we can sit here all day and talk about a blowout and how great it was and hoorah and cheer and be all happy. But the reality is, like JP said, this team still has major concerns, and Florida is going to give us a little bit better idea, I think, of what this team can do when it comes down the stretch, the end of the because I think that's if this team's going to get to 6-6. I don't think it's the Georgias and the Auburns and the Alabamas. I think it's the that back half of the schedule. South Carolina, Charlotte, Kentucky, Missouri, and Vanderbilt is where you got to look. And Florida's going to give us a better idea
That's
of
why I
where we're
said
at
last week, and I think
going into
West
that.
Virginia was a really good first game because it's a non-conference game. Number one, it doesn't kill you in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, Tennessee's probably not going to win the East, and I'm not saying that to sound negative. Georgia looks loaded, and Georgia destroyed South Carolina yesterday, which I thought would be a close game. That you get Florida. This is your first. This is the biggest game coming up. Even bigger than West Virginia. West Virginia was the biggest because it was the first, but Florida is where you've got to start that culture, and you'll get people on board by beating Florida. If they go in there and blow another one to Florida, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to have a lot of negativity, a lot of doubt creeping in on it. I just think the games at home, it's probably going to be a night game. Florida doesn't look very good at all. Not saying Tennessee's world beaters, but I just think you've got to get that one. That's going to start that positive culture down there, is if you get Florida. And I think it's very winnable.
I agree
think
completely.
It is very winnable.
I 100% agree. They've got to find a way to win that football game. They've got to. It would be huge for Pruitt and the to jumpstart what's hopefully a turnaround down there. But like our Mane said, if it doesn't happen, all the negativity is going to be creeping back in. Well, it won't be creeping back in. It'll be like a bullhorn.
It will, because Auburn, Georgia, and Alabama. That's going to be very, very tough games. 2 of them on the road, and in Alabama, we've not even beaten Saban since he's been there. You've got to get Florida, and because especially after Florida lost to Kentucky last night, if Florida comes into Knoxville and wins, or even wins convincingly, the negativity is going to be there. It just is, and whether it's right or wrong, I think it could be warranted to an extent. I'm not saying calling for the Pruitt's head, and by no means am I saying that, but Florida's just not very. Tennessee's not very good. Florida's not very good. You've got to get them at home. Got to get them at home. And Florida will probably have their hands full of Colorado State this week as well.
That'd be an interesting game. I'd be interested to check that out. Of course, Colorado State was 0-2 and had pretty much got waxed by everybody and was down big, at halftime or something there to Arkansas, and then came back and beat them.
Look on the flip side of that for Florida, though. If they happen to drop that game this week, and then they're coming into Knoxville with 2 losses, you talk about some negativity.
Oh, yeah.
Tennessee knocks them off. People are not going to be happy.
Oh, they weren't happy last night.
Good.
It was it was a meltdown. It was. I seen one of the 247 boards. They posted some comments, and they were pretty riled up last night. It was. There would have been a lot of moderated comments on.
Was that did Florida had a streak against Kentucky,
games.
didn't they?
Yeah.
Was it? Wow.
I mean, we know how that feels. Thanks to good old Derek Dooley that year. We had a pretty long one, too, against them. So that's, the negativity's there for them right now because new coach, and those people are not happy with Mullen right now. I hope we make them even more unhappy here in a couple of weeks because they fully expect to beat Tennessee every time, just like we expect to beat Vanderbilt every time, even though it hadn't happened as much recently.
Well, let's move on to this week briefly. We won't talk much about this, but UTEP, again, they've lost 14 in a row. They lost this past week to UNLV 52-24. I think we should just approach this like we did last week. What do you want to see change? What are you looking for in a game that Tennessee should have no problems coming out on top?
Well, here's the 2 things. Start fast, and the offensive line dominate. That's all I'm after.
I'm good with that.
Good luck.
Yeah, I want to see the
with
offensive line progress as well. I thought they got better as the game went along yesterday. A little more continuity this week. I mean, they lost Kennedy last week for the year. That was a blow. I think that hurt them.
I think
that hurt them right there a lot. Now you've had a week. Hopefully we don't have any more injuries this week. I want to see the line really show their will this week. Like I said, I want to see them start fast. Go down and put touchdowns on them immediately. Don't put field goals on them. Let's get touchdowns. That's kind of what I want to see.
I want to see offensive progression. And again, kudos to the defense. Shout out to them, man. They were flying around making plays, forcing turnovers. But I want to see more from the offense. I do. And like you guys said, it starts up front. I want to see them continue to throw the ball downfield. I think they can have some success with that. And how about utilizing the tight end for old Boogie just once?
They that team we're playing, UTEP, gave up over 400 yards rushing yesterday. So
Oh Lord!
I mean,
I wish you hadn't have said that, and I'd never known.
well, and so I mean, we ought to be able to get 250 easy. I mean, we ought to be able to rush for 250 yards easy. Now, will we? I don't know. They'll have to prove it.
Do you believe that Tennessee can rush for 250 yards easy?
At this point in time, no, I don't. But we should. We should, because you can't tell me that UNLV has better offensive linemen than Tennessee. You can't tell me that.
No, but they couldn't. Tennessee couldn't rush for 250 yards against ETSU.
I know. That's what I'm saying, though. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that if this offensive line does not get any better, we're going to be struggling to win any SEC game.
I saw something,
and that's just
I
the way it
saw something
is.
pretty interesting this week. I can't remember if I texted you guys about it or not. On the 247, Barton Simmons come on there, and he had a interesting. He said he was talking to an NFL scout who scouts Tennessee.
I saw that.
And he said that they consider schools A, B, C schools. A, you've got prospects. B, you've got maybe some late round guys. And C, you really don't have anybody. And I think it said he rated Middle Tennessee as a B. They had some late round, but said Tennessee's rated as a C. That they've basically don't have any upperclassmen that are showing out to the NFL right now. Of course, it didn't include Trey Smith since he's just a sophomore, but I thought that was pretty telling of where they're at right now. And my thought was, it is sad because I thought, I said last year on the podcast, if we could weather the storm last year, which we didn't, that I thought this year they would be set up to be really good, and for them to be rated as a school with no upper class prospects that are of interest, that's pretty bothersome right there.
Yeah, and it's not being negative. It's just the facts. It's just that's where this
that's
team
from
is
an
at.
NFL scout. That's not expert me, so to speak. And I say it quotation marks because I'm not, but that was pretty telling about the talent level down there right now. So that's why we keep saying progression. Just get better as the year goes along.
Yep. And then hit the recruiting
trail.
trail.
They're doing recruiting. They're doing pretty well on recruiting right now. And they got potential to finish strong, especially that offensive line class. If they were to get right out of West Virginia, that's a stout offensive line class.
Yeah. You hang on to Wanya Morris and you sign right too. I mean, that's the two top offensive tackles.
That's got to be about the best line
right
class
there
in the country, and that's not even including Lampley, who's 4-star as well, and then the other two guys are 3 stars.
Yeah, that one that they just got that commitment from out of Memphis, I think he's kind of under the radar, but they got. I think I'd read where he'd only played football for a couple of years, but he's got that road grader mentality, and then they got that Chris. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name.
I was trying to remember.
And I mean, you look at him, and I mean he's a big kid, but I mean he's got muscle on him. I mean he's not a flabby like me or anything.
Now he's from Florida, but isn't he originally from down around Knoxville, Pigeon Forge, somewhere in that area?
Yeah. He went to school down there in Knoxville somewhere. I think he's originally from Nigeria, I think. So I think he came over here and lived down there in Knoxville for a while. But he's at that IMG Academy down there in Florida.
Yeah, it seems like he's both their 3-star are pretty good pickups. And of course we say it every year about 3 stars. Some pan, some don't. But I really like what they're doing, especially if they can finish with Wright. And then they've got a good class together. It's just a matter of holding on to them and maybe adding a couple more pieces.
Yeah.
And it's a good first class.
Yeah. We need to find us somebody that can rush
Yeah.
the passer. That's the biggest glaring need when I look at their commit list right now, is finding somebody that's a difference maker as far as rushing the passer.
You got 2 JUCO linemen committed, which is good. You got that Williams and then the Middleton guy. And I really like his size at 6'7", 290. Well, he hadn't had a guy that kind of size, seems like, since probably
Daniel McCullers.
Yeah, old Mount McCullers there.
I saw him on TV today. He's still
Is he
playing.
still at Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Well, he stayed with them a while then.
Yeah. Boogie,
Well,
you still there?
I think you guys are done talking about recruiting. Let's pick this UTEP game and go to bed and get out of here. JP, I'll go first. I think I went last week. I think it's more of what we saw this week, hopefully a little progression. I say that, and then I'm going to pick a worse score than I picked last week. I'm going to say 42-17 Vols. Did you like that in-depth
Go
breakdown?
ahead, JP.
Yeah, me and you must have. Yeah, I was going to pick that. Guy just broke his leg for the Titans. That's not good. I was going to pick that and myself, but I won't pick the same score. So I'll.
It's okay, man. I'm an expert.
Well, that's
based
true.
on the comment section, so you can go with it.
So I will go with 45-14.
Well, it's great picking last when your picks get taken, but
man, we were all similar last week
I was gonna say
really.
45-10 is what I'm going with. I think UTEP will. I think the first team defense will. I think they'll play well again. I think UTEP may get a mop-up score or two late, so I'll say 45-10.
Yeah, and I mean
Well,
I will preface it that I have no idea what UTEP even runs. I have no clue.
That is going to wrap it up for Talkin Vols episode number 32. Drop down in the comments. Let us know your predictions for this week and also the rest of the season. Also, give us a follow at TalkinVols_pod on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget about the $50 Amazon gift card. Man, we have gained like 75 subscribers on YouTube just within the last couple of weeks. So we appreciate that. Again, hit that like button, leave us a comment, and subscribe. But that's it for this episode of Talkin Vols. I just got one last thing to say, and that's go Big Orange.
Jack Kerouac, he drank himself to death in New England, and I'd like to take his hand and say, Jack, man, it's okay. Now he's gone, and we're left to move on without him. Songs howl like being poets at an arcade, soaking moonlit falls on broken past this inundated orb that we call home. And it's night and I'm alone and I'm alive. Black and white headlights pierce the coals, blazing arrows, burning me to the marrow. But fire brings peace as well, as it brings fear. You're the only thing I hear, and I want that. The songs howl like me, poets sat in our chains, soaking moonlit falls, unbroken past this inundated orb that we call home. And it's night and I'm alone and I'm alive. The dogs howl like me, poets sat in our chains, soaking moonlit, smashed and broken in the sea. When we wake up each cold morning and the birds sing their warnings.